I guess, relatively unimportant change for right now, but at some point in the last few months, Nina Johnson-Lewski sort of stepped aside. She just had a baby, and she was the president of Wada. And temporarily, I stood in her place, and it came to my attention, or it was clarified to me, or maybe someone told me, and I didn't even realize that they had told me, that it was sort of something more permanent for her. So at this point, I guess I am acting as the Wada president. My name is Adam Gersten. I own the bar Gramps, where you guys are seated now. Well, actually, we call this room Shirley's. It's sort of a movie theater and live music venue. Patrick here, I guess, introduced himself to those of you who don't know who he is, and then very briefly we'll talk a little bit about some of the identity issues that we've really kind of focused on this year, and then we'll go through a brief presentation from our end. We'll have a couple guest speakers kind of fill you in on some hot topics in the neighborhood, and then we'll do a sort of discussion section. So here's Patrick to introduce himself.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's great to see a lot of familiar faces here, and a lot of new faces, which is great. To get acquainted with you guys in the near future. Sorry. So, in case you're not aware, yes, I am the predecessor of Jose Nava, who was formerly the director of WADA. He stepped down, I would say 6 or 7 months ago, and I took his place. I'm the former programming director for WADA as well, so I was working with him for an extended period of time. I know there's it's the consensus in the neighborhood that we're going through a lot of changes, a lot of growth, a lot of development. There are concerns, there's excitement. So we want to finally convene and address some of these issues and just start a discussion about where Wynwood is heading and what we've been doing for the past year or so. So we put together this presentation that's trying to keep it as short as possible, but covers some of the main aspects of the work that we've been doing in terms of promotion, in terms of marketing, in terms of programming, and other things that we see WADA as the primary vehicle for. So Adam is going to be giving the presentation. I'll jump in at times if there are on certain topics, but I'll hand it over to him. Thank you.
Okay, so the first issue really is, does everyone here, well, raise your hand if you know what WADA does. Okay, so, great. What about BID? Raise your hand if you know what the BID does. Okay, so the numbers are substantially higher for BID, people knowing what BID does, but in both cases, from my vantage point, the numbers are still pretty low. No one knows what these groups really are up to and what they're doing. And to be honest, I think a large portion of that is attributable to the fact that I think to a lesser degree BID, but certainly WADA, there has been over the last year, and you heard Patrick say, we had directors step down, we've had president go on hiatus and then just sort of disappear. So there has been a sense that we really needed to buckle down and say, all right, what is it that we, WADA, are going to do for the neighborhood? What are the assets that we have already? And look, if we examined our relationships, that kind of thing. I had a couple slides here, but we really don't have to do them. But I'll just to make a point though. This is just sort of a general map here of a very broad sort of idea of what Wynwood is, right? This map is I think the cafe district map. Okay, so already you see that the difference between what Wynwood is in people's minds, or sort of when you imagine the map, versus sort of one that deals with zoning, or specifically, even more specifically, alcohol ordinances, and then this Wynwood, which is, I'm not sure if this is the final map. If someone had bid could tell me, but I think, and that's another thing too. If you did want to find out what the bid area was, or what the cafe district was, and find the most accurate map, you'd be hard-pressed to find it on your first try if you use the city's resources. Okay. But the idea here is that we all kind of have a different sense of what Wynwood is when we're talking about different things, and this adds to the layers of complication in terms of what it is that these organizations should be doing. And obviously, progress and rising real estate prices don't stop for the bid and Wada to figure out how to respond and what to do. So we have to kind of do this on the fly, and things are changing very, very quickly. But in spite of all the changes and stuff, we've kind of come to this point that we, as Wada, should be promoting the businesses, and the business improvement district is made up of property owners. These are the people that are funding the bid. But as far as Wada goes, it's a much wider sort of net that's cast. It's people whose businesses are affected or are affecting Wynwood. It's patrons who want to see the arts remain an integral part of the neighborhood. And so the way that we intend to ensure that no matter how high the price per square foot goes in Wynwood for property, that the arts remain sort of the fundamental, right? The thing that really, why is this different from any other area in Miami? And the good news is that as we were going through these exercises to determine, what it is that we should be concentrating on, there are a lot of things that are institutions here already that we may be taking for granted when we hear or read a lot of, it's not sexy in the newspaper to talk about the good things that are happening. And certainly those of you that are business owners here that are working very, very hard to make a go of it here, understand that there are a lot of upsides and positives, and so anyway. The way that we will do this is collaborate with our members, community partners, and so the way that we see this coming together is we just need to talk. There are so many different kinds of businesses within Wynwood, and as we, when we looked at the map, the bigger map, the big picture map, we can't even divide it into quadrants, which was like our original idea. But if we were able to get from the Wada community a business owner or business owners that want to take some responsibilities for sort of activations within sort of some designated areas, say we divide it into 8s or 6 or that sort of thing. We can see, like, especially during the downtimes, the off season, or when it's raining all the time, that we could see programming happen that sort of draws people to your businesses, or maybe you have a business outside of Wynwood and you want to be involved with a business inside of Wynwood, so you're raising awareness. And so those are some of the things that we want to work on. If you. And that's sort of what we'll talk about here. We'll be expanding our role that way, and we'd like to actually produce content. That is one of our major assets here, is that we have a lot of really intelligent, creative people. Some of them have financial resources, some of them have property as a resource, and there's a lot of ideas as resources. And seeing all those things come together, and again, with the arts as a foundation, we'll make sure that while everyone's talking about real estate and how people are getting priced out of the neighborhood and those types of, you know, like I said, sort of sexy headlines. The reality on the ground will be that actually everyone is collaborating and making things happen, and art is being created constantly, and it's a result of the businesses that are coming to the neighborhood and that are already here working together. These are just a few ideas. Patrick really came up with some of these are some of the things that he knows specifically he'd like to be part of and work on, which is great because as program director, as director, he should be doing that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that he needs to be out there doing, and so he's really done an amazing job. He deserves a lot of credit, and you guys should be very confident in his ability going forward to make sure that these things aren't just sort of like great ideas, but they actually get implemented. And you know, sometimes it may be baby steps, and you guys don't, you know, you might not see the behind the scenes, but things like this will happen. And I don't know about this picture here, but
Johnny Robles.
you know, there's a lot of stuff that
Oh yeah. So some of the specifics of the things that are, yes, this is Johnny Robles. Shout out to Johnny. And this is actually a picture taken by Pilathon, Pilates Athletic Center, for their run. They're hosting every month, and we're kind of collaborating with them to kind of promote it and doing other fitness and wellness events in collaboration with Wada. Some of these things might look Greek to you, but one of the things I've been working on is creating kind of a nomadic jazz ensemble and working with the Frost School of Music and other jazz musicians in the area to really activate public spaces or semi-public spaces in the neighborhood and promote it, maybe first doing it in well-trafficked areas, but then moving it out to the periphery and activating certain areas of the neighborhood that don't get a lot of traffic and using it as a device to do so. With our concert series, it's vague because it's you know, it's something that we always have the capability to do. It would be a bigger production, but it's something that we're looking to do in the future, collaborating with corporate sponsors as well as organizations, production groups, to produce what I model after the summer stage up in New York, which activates and provides free programming in all the public spaces, public parks up there. Monologue Showcase is kind of more of a niche thing. It's a boutique thing. It's actually going to be happening at the Lightbox in September. It's an electronic music label that is going to be performing live with a visual element. It's going to be more or less a listening session, kind of music as a high art event. Arthur's Landing Abreu, if you're not familiar with Arthur Russell, he's a very famed musician out of New York from the 70s, early 80s. He was a disco producer and cellist, experimental, part of that whole scene up in New York. Arthur's Landing is members of his band that will that perform his songs, and they're going to be performing at Bardo as a Wada event. We've been talking along with Tom from The Bid. Is Tom here? Tom, wave your hand. Tom Curatori is the director of The Bid, if you're not familiar with him. It's an idea that has been floating around about activating 3rd Ave, since it's not a through road or street, and activating Sundays, which kind of have less traffic than other days, but is an ideal time for people to come out to Wynwood. So doing a farmer's market, another program during that. And then this is something that we've already activated. They've done 2 so far, monthly art walk, or art run in collaboration with Pilathon Pilates, which is located at the top of the Synergy building in both Miami Ave. These are just ideas. These are things that are actively being worked on, and as more resources become available to us, and as discussions continue with you and other collaborators, there's room for a lot more. There's actually one more piece in this. Yeah, Martin,
Yeah, the Bake House just got a Miami Foundation Public Space Challenge win to do a farmer's market, green market, art market at the Bake House.
Great.
We have permanent space. We're going to be hiring somebody to manage it, so we should talk.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is just a rough sketch of an idea, so it's an early stage thing, but something like that would be great.
Just before we go to the next slide, I just want to say this because you know, and I apologize for sort of my offhanded comment, but what I'm trying to say is that a lot of times, you know, when you go to a meeting and you look at these lists of things and you think, well, that doesn't really appeal to me and that doesn't really appeal to me. Oh, that's just the same with that or that kind of thing. That should be motivation. You know, we want to make sure that that we leave and you guys aren't great. They have a list of 5 things that they're going to do. That you guys come to us all the time with ideas, and we will filter through them and try to figure out how to use your business, your friend's business, 2 businesses you think you don't even know, but think could work together. So I just want to make it very clear that every idea on here is an idea. We can make it happen. But if it's not something you're into, that's great. That means there's something you're into we don't know about, we need to know about, we need to activate. So,
this is probably the biggest production that I'm working on currently in collaboration with the Bakehouse, actually, and some other organizations. Nonprofit is Jose de Diego Middle School is a middle school that's located right in the middle of Wynwood. It's a public school. They reached out to us. This is their courtyard. Have you ever seen such a concentration of blank white walls in Wynwood? It's pretty amazing and ironic that a middle school in the middle of Wynwood doesn't have any art on it and that lacks completely any sort of arts program right there in the middle of our neighborhood. What we're working on is during Art Basel, really trying to get back to the community and bridging the gap between the old Wynwood and the new Wynwood, and doing a fundraising event to hopefully raise funds for an arts program throughout the year, something that could be a yearly thing. And we're reaching out to artists, local, and people who will be guests in the run-up to Art Basel to paint the interior walls here. We're talking to some sponsors as well in the hopes of doing a musical component to it that would be a centralized, probably on a Saturday in Basel, a major event that would raise funds for this. This is something that I think works for everybody. And it's going to be a major undertaking, and we're going to need anyone who has some ideas regarding this project, feel free to seek me out and we can talk.
one more thing about this that Patrick did mention, and I think to really get a sense of how important a project like this is. This school has closets filled with art supplies and musical instruments that are sitting there collecting dust because they either don't have instructors to use them or to assist students in learning. So, and this is in Wynwood. So it's sort of sad, and I think it speaks to a lot of the issues that are valid that people raise, and I think it's absolutely our responsibility to make sure that, again, those talking points, if they are accurate, are no longer accurate, you know, and correct some wrongs, right some wrongs, that sort of thing. And this is an amazing opportunity. It's right here in our laps, and it shouldn't continue like this. You know, it's our obligation, so we are going to do something about it. On the fun side, and I think you see, you know, we probably could have extended the amount of time that we didn't have this meeting by another half hour or an hour. A lot of us are all very busy. Everybody's working very hard to make whatever it is that they do happen. And it's nice to get together and you know, talk with your peers and colleagues. So another thing that WADA absolutely is committed to facilitating monthly meetings, networking events for WADA members, for you to bring friends that you think should be WADA members. And remember, you know, being a WADA member is a very wide net. It's not limited like the bid where you have to be a property owner, and, you know, you're paying taxes, that kind of thing. You know, another thing we're working on is, you know, obviously membership structure, so that, you know, someone that lives on Miami Beach that is a patron of, you know, various businesses or in general in the arts and wants to support Wynwood can be involved in that sort of thing. So this is a great one, and you see the first one is going to be held at Brick House on the 29th at 5 p.m. So I encourage all of you not only to show up again, but bring people, please, because that's the only way that all these programs actually evolve into anything. And that's the invitation. Oh, WynwoodMiami.com. The good news and the bad news. The good news is that we have tons of people visit this site. The bad news is most of them leave after like 2 seconds. And it's kind of a mess. We know that. And we are working to make some simple changes instead of undertaking some huge thing where we put out a big bid and redo the whole thing and waste a lot of time and run into season with nothing up on the page that's actually valuable to anyone who's seeking information about Wynwood, what's going on. And I think that really is the essence of what needs to happen with our website here, is that it just needs to point people in the direction of what's happening this Monday, this Tuesday, this Wednesday, this Thursday. That's it. It's the most immediate connection. We can work on other stuff later. We can redesign it later. So I can tell you guys now that as far as a repository for information about what's happening in the neighborhood with your business, this needs to be a reflection of that, and we will make that happen within 30 days. But it also doesn't do anything if you guys don't give us that information. We will do our best. We don't have a big staff. We have one guy and an intern. It's not enough. There are so many new businesses coming in. You guys have to reach out and get stuff to us. Please talk to Patrick about his preferred method, but obviously email works just great. So that's really important, big change.
But one of the things is for events, which a lot of people, it's the main thing people know what's going on in the week. We actually have a special portal for members who can log in, submit events with artwork and everything, and sends it to me. I approve it and it appears on the website as well as the calendar. And we encourage people, and the information is going to come out soon on this presentation, but we encourage people to proactively log in and submit their events.
Are you by chance looking for interns or anyone to help?
Always yourself. Yeah, actually, one of our Adi, who's over there, she's one of our interns. She's going to be leaving once the summer's over, so we're always
please help. Right. So also, and we'll get to this too. There's a whole presentation on the new, Wynwood branding, and so obviously that'll also show up on pages. The Wynwood map. This actually is a great way for us to show people where the galleries are, where the restaurants are. Great way for you to advertise your business. It's a core piece of Wada's activities in the neighborhood. A physical map. I've heard all kinds of things. No one looks at it. It's absolutely not true. If you spend any time in the neighborhood whatsoever, or walk down the street, and especially when it's slightly less scorching outside, and from that time on for many months thereafter, you'll see people holding the maps, trying to see what's going on. This point was brought up. I've heard it in a number of meetings, not only Wada meetings, and it is true. We give out this map that says where your business is. If your business isn't open, that's why no one's there. I mean, we have this map goes out, and people are here on Sundays. They're here on, 3 years ago, sure, there was not a whole lot of foot traffic, but now any time of day, there are people walking around, and again, as season starts, you'll see these maps in their hands. They're going to be looking. So if you own a gallery or you own a retail space, I encourage you to be open, because that's what you do.
Excuse me. Is there any chance that since you're going to do a new map, that maybe you could change the color of the galleries because you can't read our numbers?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're actually there's a new batch that I just spent the last week redesigning, adding new members, and also fixing things particularly about that. When I came into this job and saw that, I was like, that was a unfortunate design choice, but that's going to be fixed for the next one.
Thank you.
So going back to that point we were talking about at the beginning of the meeting, the difference between Wada and BID. This slide just gives you some of the outline of what the BID does. it sort of transferred a lot of the stuff that Wada did originally to the bid, but on top of that, we have tremendous traffic flow problems, we have, zoning issues that are coming up, all these types of things, and, the bid spends a lot of its efforts trying to solve some of those sort of neighborhood engineering problems and examining them as a large group of property owners and stakeholders and trying to solve them. In addition to that, though, it's not, they also have committees, and within those committees there are only property owners, there are people that may just be generally stakeholders in some manner or another, so there is an interaction there, not only with property owners, but also others in the community. So I think, my understanding is that at some point in the near future, finally, one of the major headaches I think that we've all experienced here that's sort of baffling is the traffic flow on the weekends, and especially during the walk. It's abysmal, it's dangerous, God forbid somebody got hurt halfway down the street, cars are blocked up, so I think we're going to see some changes very soon in that regard, which will improve the neighborhood.
What kind of changes are you talking about? The one-way street?
The one-way street change. I'll invite Tom here to answer that real quick.
How you doing? I don't need a microphone. I'm Tom Puritan, I'm the executive director of the Wynwood Bid. As far as the one-ways, ballots just went out to the property owners and tenants on 23rd, 24th, 25th. The ballots were due the 31st of the month. Actually, the city and the county are looking at them now. We're hoping, people fingers crossed, in the next month or two we'll have one-ways on 23rd, 24th, 25th, so we'll be a lot of traffic. So how do you go after ballots to the property owners and the residents of the area? And I think we're favorable. The ballots came back pretty favorable on 23rd, 24th, 25th. 23rd Street, we're looking from 2nd Avenue to 5th Avenue to be a one-way westbound, which will help out a lot of the residents in the lawns and stuff. On 24th Street from 5th Avenue to North Miami, a one-way eastbound. And on 25th Street from 2nd Avenue to 5th Avenue, a one-way westbound. So that's the ballots. Once the ballots are back already, the county will look at them, the city will look at them, and actually we'll move forward with the city. And we're there actually as the liaison with the city and the county, the businesses and the property owners to try to make this happen quicker. In addition, crosswalks, our county commission was very, very grateful to us. She's funding some crosswalks on North Miami and also on 2nd Avenue, new pedestrian ramps on 2nd Avenue and traffic control devices. So District 3, Commissioner Evanson, our county commissioner, is very, very grateful for that funding that. So moving forward, the street lights, we work every day with FBL to try to get the street lights, taken care of. If anybody sees any street lights out, please get in touch with Patrick or myself. I'll leave my number at the end. I'm going to do that also. As far as improvement of security, keep going on? Good. As far as improvement of security and sanitation, we actually hired Miami Police off-duty for the area. There's a special phone number for non-emergencies, which I'll give you, but I'll leave it back here. If the property owners, business owners call them directly, the non-emergencies, emergencies, please call 911, then we have a cop assigned here and they'll actually respond to your quality of life issue, whatever the issue is. The phone number I'll give you is 786, if anyone wants to write it down, 501-5956. And that's the non-emergencies. For emergencies, please call 911. They're working now from 10 in the morning some days till 4 in the morning other days. And also on the nights where it's very heavy here on Thursday, Fridays, this covers the 4 a.m. in the morning. In addition, we have our women and women who are doing some sanitation. We're going to expand that also. They work in the day. They're working from 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. They clean the streets. They're our sanitation ambassadors. They have maps. They give directions. And we're actually working on doing that also. As far as the installation of trash receptacles, we just ordered a couple of more trash receptacles from North Miami Avenue. We have some on 2nd Avenue. Planning, we gave our recommendations to the city, zoning, for our planning study recommendations. Once they come back with us, we're going to move forward with that, our recommendations for planning and zoning in the area. Parking, parking is a good thing. We have Miami Park Authorities here tonight. They're going to go over the whole parking, pay by phone with you guys. Rebranding of Wynwood, we're going to have Silas Monroe here. It's going to go over the rebranding of Wynwood. If anybody needs my phone number, is actually 646-739-4643. Feel free to call me, text me. My email is I speak fast, I'm from New York, so. My email is CURITORE, Curator@WynwoodBid.com. We're all in this together. It's a partnership between us and Wada. We're all in this together to make the neighborhood better as we move forward and to make it, we want this to be a destination. We want people to come here and say, listen, We're going to visit South Beach. We're going to stay in Wynwood and visit South Beach. So we want to make this a destination. We have other things going on. Deco Bikes is coming here soon. There are a couple more stations. A lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees. But if you have any questions, please contact me. If you want to get on our email list, we'll work with Wada, send you out emails. We're a board of the City of Miami. All that means the public, they're on the City of Miami website. So please feel free to look on the City of Miami website for public meetings. Our committee meetings are all to the public. All our meetings are open to the public. So please feel free to use us, use Wada as we grow forward and go to the next level. Thank you.
How you doing? I have a question. I'm talking to Patrick. I know Wada's behind this big time. Unless you've been here for over 10 years, the number one reason for being in Wynwood is because of the art. If there's anyone who denies that, they deny. Now, what is the Wynwood bid doing to making sure that whoever comes into Wynwood, our walls continue to get painted, the artists continue to have a canvas to paint on, because without that, Wynwood doesn't exist.
Well, without the artists here, Wynwood would be just another neighborhood. You know, but we know that. We're actually going to continue that as far as the painting, civil continuing stuff, everything with the artists and stuff. You know. We welcome. We need more canvas. We need more canvas here. We have so many buildings. We need more canvas, and we want to make this. We just have so you know, I'll sit up here. So just so you know, we're in October. We're working with the city. We're going to do October is actually Italian Heritage Month. So we're going to do Italy and Wynwood. They're going to bring 3 actually well-known artists here from Italy. And we're looking to paint different areas, working with the artists that are here. So we want the art to stay here, because like I said, without the artists here and without art, we look like any other neighborhood in Miami, and we don't want to be that.
I have a question. You said that the parking discussion will be later?
Well, Miami Parking Authority is here. They're going to do a presentation on the pay-by-phone parking.
Can you give your name and phone number and email again?
Yeah, it's Tom Curator, Curitore, 646-739-4643 is my cell. You can text me or call me. And my email address is Curitore at winwoodbid.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. There is another program here. Have Patrick explain very quickly another program that WADA is undertaking.
So we've been in discussion with Prime Card IGT, and this has been kind of a collaborative effort with the bid. We're looking to launch a universal advertising and marketing campaign for Wynwood as a whole, highlighting different businesses that actually buy into this program that we're developing. It's currently under negotiations. There's nothing signed yet, but we're working. I've been working very closely with Albert Garcia from the bid on this particular project. Without getting into too many details, these would be buying media, buying digital billboards, bus wraps, so all different kinds of tools to really get the word out, not just to locals, but also media strategies, internet, online strategies to get the word out about Wynwood as a destination. And this would also be funded partially by the bid, as well as through kind of a credits program from participating businesses in the area. So it would be food and beverage credits, retail credits. Details about that are forthcoming. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's something that's pretty exciting for the neighborhood.
So Patrick had mentioned that there would be an opportunity to see this information, which you should write down. This is how you can promote your events through the WADA site currently, and in any future iterations of the site. That first item, it kind of goes in tandem with some of the program that we're going to be launching within the next year. I would like to get to a point where these programs can be seen as your programs, things that obviously there are certain conflicts that might arise, but these are programs that will generally add content to the neighborhood and drive traffic here. So whenever you deem fit. Any help promoting these, because a lot of people have their own networks, their own social media presence, their own email lists. The information about these events and programs will be available, and we're just asking to help us spread the word. So anyway, just to wrap up, you know, so what is WADA? What are we doing? We are going to focus on programming in the neighborhood, utilizing the neighborhood as basically a giant canvas, including the businesses, and again with the foundation of the arts, all disciplines. I think that's the key. I think that all my colleagues agree, at least on the board, and I think many of you will agree. And as someone said earlier, I mean, we lose that, and there's really, you know, there's no point other than just a bunch of buildings and some expensive real estate. So it's very, very important. And some of these other things, you know, they seem small, but when you add them all together, you know, you have some cool programming, you let people know about it. You know, there's this sort of feedback loop. It just generates more and more excitement. We can do better and better and better programming, and everyone will have an opportunity to, whether you're an artist and you simply, you know, want the platform, or whether you're a business and you have bills to pay and taxes and those sorts of things. You know, everyone will benefit. But again, I think, you know, WADA's mission is to make sure that we don't lose the soul of what people consider, you know, Wynwood to be, and what we, you know, believe in our hearts and put all this time and effort into. That's it. Silas. Yeah. So okay, now we're going to have Silas give you a little presentation on the new rebrand for Wynwood.
Good evening, I'm Silas Monroe. I'm the founder of Miami Open Source, or MOS for short. And a few months ago, MOS was engaged by the BID and members of WADA to develop a new identity for Wynwood. It was a process that was stewarded by members for both. And before I talk about the identity, I did want to talk to you and give you a little bit more context about Miami Open Source. And Miami Open Source believes in the power of technology and the arts to engage with diverse communities. And recently, through a grant from the Knight Foundation, we've been able to begin our mission to create a space that's part school, part making space, and part design studio to ultimately benefit underrepresented communities. We're a diverse group of designers and teachers and thinkers, and the beginning of the process with the BID, we created a workshop where we talked about the history of Wynwood, where it's been in the past, the present of Wynwood, and its future. We used design thinking exercises to engage with members of WADA and the BID, and we came away with a narrative that focuses on Wynwood as rooted in this intersection of creativity and entrepreneurship. And that workshop and the conversations that came out, there's a number of members who were at that workshop who are in the room right now, so it's great that you're here. And that led to other key qualities that came up in the discussion about Wynwood, that it's creative, it's dynamic, it's smart, socially engaging. And all of those qualities about the past, present, and future of Wynwood were translated into a deep search where we looked at different marks that could embody all these qualities. We explored a lot of different directions, and ultimately, working with members of WADA and BID, we came up with this one direction that we call the starting line. And in this direction, it represents Wynwood as this neighborhood that is this rich fabric, a warp and weft, referencing the history of the garment district in Wynwood, but also its contemporary canvas of diverse programming. The main mark is a stenciled W with dynamic angles in the W that reference the dynamism of Wynwood, but also allude to the street grid of Wynwood, North Miami and 2nd Avenue, and then the other streets intersecting. Intersection was a big part of the concept behind the identity, and of course it's animated by the color we were referencing and talking about the street art that's so critical to the key nature of Wynwood. There's also a lockup for the Wynwood Arts District Association, and of course also the bid. Part of the function of the identity was it was really important that that starting line also lock up and connect to logos and marks of other businesses and other community entities, that it would work very much with all of the different kinds of organizations that make Wynwood diverse and unique. We also then took the identity, this idea of this W, and that intersection. The W can then expand, and here you see it on a spectrum application for the website. You can hold imagery and hold color and talk about the various ways that people live and work and eat and play and learn in the neighborhood of Wynwood. In various other applications, the logo, that stenciled, strong, bold typography, extends and creates spaces and surfaces that reference the canvas of the walls of Wynwood, but also the unique and diverse programming. In advertising and other applications, those verbs take on dynamic, strong, bold headlines, and are expressed through a wide range of media. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions?
Is that available already for use?
We're currently finalizing the applications, and so Patrick and Tom and Albert from the bid will be sending out a way for everyone to access both print and web versions of the mark, and then a little PDF on how to apply it.
When?
Yeah.
Other questions?
When?
I think in the next couple weeks or so we should have availability for that. So, any other questions? Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Silas.
How many people are here to hear about parking? So, next we're going to call up Miami Parking Authority to discuss parking in Wynwood.
Can I speak from here? Yes, does everybody hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Alex Harvey. Thank you so much for having us here presenting to you. I know that there has been, this is not a very popular, sexy topic, but we're here to present the plan, to talk a little bit more about the plan that we are going to be rolling out probably in the next 2 weeks. We have presented to the bid preliminary plan. We joked about we are in like the 10th draft of the plan. We're open to suggestions, questions. Because of the things that have come out of this plan, we have had to modify our plan because we are hearing from you and we're hearing from the things that are going to impede business or things that you need to help your businesses succeed. So even today we were talking about that and making some changes. I talked to Patrick before the meeting and I told him that within the next week I'll be sending out a synopsis of the plan so he can disseminate it to you. The bid will also be receiving a copy of the same to disseminate. And with us we have Margarita Delgado. She works with the MPA and she'll be talking more about the things that we plan to do so that you guys can learn about the plan that we're going to have here when we're for work.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for inviting us. Basically, what we're going to do, we haven't
disseminated the information yet because, as Alex said, we'll be tweaking the implementation plan based on feedback received from some of the individuals in the group. The rollout will be in phases.
Could you actually use the microphone?
The rollout of the plan will be in phases so that we'll have enough time to get the word out to everybody that needs to know about MPA's plan for parking management in this area. Probably in the next couple of weeks, all of you will be getting the information about the public relations plan, and what we'd like to do is start with the local Wynwood community, and then through the media and to other vehicles get the information out to the rest of the community, but also we would like to do it for outside of Florida and international audiences, potential visitors, potential investors, anybody who wants to know a little bit more about how parking works in this area. So some of the strategies that we would like to implement is attend your local events and disseminate information about the parking plan, but also try to register people for pay by phone, the free app. I know that perhaps most of you know about it and use it in Miami and probably with some of the other cities that accept pay by phone, but there are a lot of people who are not aware of it. And
no, get it in the light.
And it's blinding me.
Oh, okay. All right, that's okay.
But that would be some of the things that we would like to do. And we'll try also to incorporate some events that are coming up, like Parking Day, and do the Parking Day here in Wynwood, and publicize it, and send the information out to the tenants, the property owners, the employees, anybody who is part of the Wynwood community.
What is the parking day?
It's September 19th. It's a Friday. It's celebrated every year in different parts of the country. It started in San Francisco. And basically, the arts community created a new vision for parking day in parking spaces. And I think now some of the cities are doing the parking day, not in the parking spaces, but in the lots as well.
What does that mean, free? A free day? No, you buy all the parking spaces and build, put grass and chairs and all
They
that.
repurpose them for the day.
Yeah.
So it's an initiative to show that, you know, cities morph and change, and as Margarita pointed out, by the way, Orlando's happens for the record. They come out and we partner, we've done it in the past in Brickell and other parts of the city, and we would allow these groups that want to repurpose a space to come in for the day, and sometimes they put sod, as Mr. Fresco was mentioning, put little tables, and it's just a fun way of seeing how the community can morph.
Thank you, Roger.
Well,
And
When is all this going to happen?
in phases, starting getting the information out to the public, probably the next 2 weeks or so. Alex, and for the actual implementation?
The actual implementation will be October 1st, and then we'll have like 2 weeks of, you know, getting
Grace period.
Grace period for about 2 weeks, and then to implement October 15th.
One of the things that I like to do, if possible, is to get the list of a copy of the sign-in sheets, because that's going to help us get the information out to you. We're going to put the information on the Miami Parking website, and post all the information on Facebook, etc. as well.
So
I think you raise your hand first.
other than the parking authority collecting the money, how is this going to alleviate the parking problem?
Alex, I have to turn that over to
How
you.
is this going to help the parking situation? That's collecting money.
Well, a few years back, when the spaces were regulated, and this district is still very, very new, and it's still very new, but it was just starting up. I still wasn't in operation, but I remember that we got called to a meeting, and it was requested by the business owners to give some relief to the area until it grows, and the demand is there for regulation, and we pulled out of the area. And this is about, I believe, 3 or 4 years ago. Recently, at about a year and a half ago, we started getting some phone calls from business owners telling us that there were cars being parked in front of their businesses that weren't moving. Can we go and tow them? Can we go and move them? And the answer was no. That that was coming, and to be patient. And that started occurring. The bids started getting formed. Business owners started calling us to say, I think that we're reaching a point where we're going to have some regulation here, so that we can cause a turnover of spaces, so that people can actually move and allow for other people to come and park. So we started this conversation with the bid. I don't think the bid had become the bid yet. And so we started that conversation with them as to what this would look like. We also have started talking to a parking consultant that we've engaged to see what the car counts are, what, is there a place for us to potentially build a parking garage, which is needed to alleviate some of these issues. Where is the sweet spot, as we like to call it? So we have been working towards this now, and we really wanted to make this a pay-by-phone area where it's all technologically driven and not take out the single space meters. As you would notice that there's some areas where we've already taken those out. The regulation of parking just causes turnover, irregularly, and it's a growing pain, and we get that, and we hear it, and it's like I said, it's not something. It's not what we do is not a sexy job, but it does help the businesses get people to their business. There is an area, I know the lab. Somebody's represented here from the lab, and we spoke to them that right now the machine in front of their business is a 2-hour maximum. Typically throughout the city, we have a 3-hour maximum. One of the things that morphed from this conversation, and it just happened today, was that pay-by-phone, for those of you, does anybody have pay-by-phone here? Okay. For those of you who know about pay-by-phone, and even if you put the signs up, just so that people could get visually used to what the sign is, we've had a lot of transactions. Unfortunately, about a couple of weeks ago, we're not enforcing the area. It's something that we said that we weren't going to do until we rolled out this plan until October, and we had an unfortunate incident where we were called out by MPD because people were parked on the sidewalk and they were parked in front of a fire hydrant, and somebody came and they just ticketed everybody. That wasn't supposed to happen. That was on us. We got a call, and immediately we have taken back those citations. We have refunded the customers, as we said we would. Like for us, it's also part of the growing thing, because we don't want to have to do that to our customers, and that's part of a whole other conversation. So one of the things we wanted to do was to simplify this program was to have one zone number. That way everybody could just dial in. And for those of you who don't have pay by phone and you use it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But we realized that if we do a 3-hour maximum and you have one zone number, where are you going to move to? If you have to move to a disoccupied space. So today we're working on the draft, and yet again we're changing that. It's a living document.
So are you saying that if somebody puts in for 3 hours, let's say an employee,
yes,
parking on the street puts in for 3 hours, can't renew beyond 3 hours?
Right. You have to move, but you have to move to another area, which would be an avenue or a different street.
Yeah.
Right, and we are looking at employee parking in designated areas and the monthly parking as well. Because of all of these needs, is why we also started talking and really looking into the development of the parking garage.
Can you expand a little bit on the process? Like, so I'm an employee, and so yeah, pay by phone technologically is great. I don't have to walk out to the meter, so that's fantastic. But it still means that I have to pay $200 more a month than I did when I was paying $50 a month for a decal. So that's my concern right now. Not how easy it is to pay by phone, but that I have to do it when I had a decal possibility. So do you have so solution plan something like parking garage, maybe some employee parking?
Right, and there is the monthly parking that we didn't.
No, yeah.
Delete the program. We moved the program, but there is also going to be an employee program. It's going to be less expensive than the monthly program. but it's going to also be in different, probably different areas as well.
So possibly in the current designated areas that have been too.
Right, probably on 29th, we were looking at 29th, and we had talked to Tom about, because I know security is a big issue, and I'm glad police is here, because police, we've also talked to them about, if the monthly parkers are parking on the east side, the west side of 5th, there's a police officer there that are going to go up and down the streets. We've talked about adding enforcement officers as well to patrol this particular area, so we could have more police presence and enforcement presence in that area.
So this means that you have to park way over there on the other side of Fifth Ave and then walk wherever it is that your business is. Because that's the only place that you can park if you work in the neighborhood.
No.
I can't park in front of my business unless I pay, like he was saying, the per hour meter. I don't think that's very fair.
But the same thing I'm saying is, if you're parking in front of your business, then depending on what business you are, for example, in a restaurant, restaurants typically don't want their employees parking in front of their business. They want visitors.
Well, I own a
parking.
gallery and I don't want to park 5 blocks from my gallery and, show up in the rain, heat, whatnot. I want to park convenient. And
well, the convenience is going to be, well, we are going to limit the 3 hours, and yes, this is part of the growing thing. This is part of what we're taking in also to see where else we can put parking so that you don't have to, to walk the 3 blocks to get to or the 5 blocks to get to your business. So, where we had started talking about 29th Avenue, we thought we got to put something on the south side as well, and we got to put something on the west side as well. So that's the stuff that we're talking about.
So maybe I'm misunderstanding this, I hope. But we're business owners, we have employees, they have 8-hour shifts, they're only allowed to park for 3 hours. Or the employee parking is longer than 3 hours?
Yeah, the employee parking is a program. Yeah, it's a program where you're going to be designated in an area for the employees to park. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I missed this, but my employees that have already gotten tickets, how do I go about doing the packets? Like several of them.
Where are they located?
Northwest Identity.
Well, regardless, they should not
They should not have been gotten a ticket, and we will
reach
talk
out to
after
us, come see
We'll
us,
talk after here
and
and
give us information. We'll have to wait, and if they pay, we'll have to refund.
How much is the monthly employee parking, and what's the other one that you said was incentivized?
The monthly parking right now is $55.
And it's a decal.
It's a decal,
And
but that's not
limited
going
to a certain area.
But it's going to be virtual. We're moving to a virtual, through pay by phone as well.
But
So right now it's a decal.
The price will remain the same, and it will be limited to a certain area.
Yes, and then the employee decal will be $40, and that will also be in certain areas as well.
So monthly decal is for whom?
The monthly decal for the monthly customers. There are monthly customers that have a business here, and they have employees right now that don't want to pay on an
No,
hourly
I'm sorry. Just one is $55, one is $40. Which is which?
$55 is the monthly.
For whom?
For the monthly customers of the area. So
Customers, not employees.
Not employees.
Got it. Thank you.
There are many tourists who come to the neighborhood who don't have local phones. They end up leaving. They're going to pay national charge to get parking. Depend on that.
So, as much as we wanted to make this virtual, this is something that has come up several times, and we really wanted to push only pay by phone here, because this district will embrace it and will use it. But because of that same thing, we are putting just a few machines on the main streets, on 3rd, on 2nd. We want to put a few machines so that they can have another payment option. We've talked about this, and no matter how much we struggled with it, we realized that we got to accommodate others. So you'll see this.
I have been able to look at pay by phone, not knowing that I didn't have to pay, both in front of my business and by the Ringwood building. I have expired 3 hours.
And extended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now it's.
Yeah.
Right now, it's open. Right now, the numbers are there, the location numbers are there, but it's open.
Open means you won't get a ticket?
Right.
Well, we're not
enforcing it. We're not enforcing it now.
So I'm sorry. I run code for Miami, my name's Rebecca. I've
I've been talking with you guys on Twitter, and I do appreciate how responsive you've been. We do events in Linwood. We're not like, we do like day-long hack events and things like that. Will there be other places where people can go out and move their car? Because this is the big problem that we have right now. If we have to do something for more than 3 hours, we can't.
We have the capability through pay by phone, and this is something we talked about even for special event things, to put flat rates and then call it a day, and then people could park there. We've talked about being able to implement that, and we can, and we do already in other parts of the city.
Okay, great, thanks.
Guys, I think what we've learned here is that parking is complicated and it's nuanced, and just speaking for myself, not even as a president of Wada or whatever. I mean, I have a lot of employees here. They all need to park. They work long shifts. It's a really big deal. It's going to cost them a lot of money. The flip side is, I also understand that, a few years ago, because I know when I first came to the neighborhood, I think it was maybe David Lombardi that, I don't know if he's still here, but explained to me that, there had been some enforcement already, and that it was actually, I think, sort of through those early sort of, whatever you call them, Linwood, early adopters that, they had the foresight to work with these guys to waive parking for a while, and it, helped grow the neighborhood. But they're just through my own sort of, reading and stuff like that, I also understand that there are a lot of very forward-thinking academics and studies on this kind of thing that, parking inevitably, A, is a necessity in a big urban area, and B, sometimes in the long run can positively affect the neighborhood. I can't say that I ever would have imagined that I would kind of want to say I agree or disagree with the NDA. I'm just sort of presenting these ideas that, one, paying for parking is basically a reality. It's going to happen. How it happens, and the responsiveness that the MPA gives to us as business owners and stakeholders is really really another question. And so them being here now, I think, is helpful. And I think, in the long run, everyone should take the time to, craft their, nuanced position and share that with them, because they are here to kind of hear you out, whether now or, in the future. And ultimately, I'm sure that, like everything else with Linwood and some of the sort of new and up-and-coming coalescing neighborhoods in Miami, these are experimental battlegrounds for things that other cities have dealt with, and Miami's always kind of been behind, and now we're sort of catching up and doing cool things in these neighborhoods. So this is just, it's a positive sign that we're talking about it, that we have to talk about it, and whether we do something new for Miami, is what we should be focused on, handling it wisely. So next, and very important to everyone, is security, policing in Linwood. So with that,
I'd like to introduce Sergeant Gomez. He's pretty much the guy on the ground level here, representing the Miami Police Department. He's going to say a few words about what they're doing on the ground.
Sarge, could you stand in the light?
In the light? Hi, I'm Sergeant Gomez. I coordinate off-duty for the bid. I don't work at Linwood full-time, but I work closely with the commanders and Tom. They have off-duty officers that is funded for the bid. I coordinate the officers that work in this area. Although we all sometimes look alike in uniform, we're not all alike, so I try to choose specific officers with specific backgrounds and experience to work with this area, because it's rapidly growing. A lot of police officers that used to work back in the old days in this area don't understand all the changes going on. So we're trying to kind of tailor to a lot of the issues going on. Some of you guys may know me. If you don't, if you need my number or my card afterwards, you can reach me through Tom. I particularly love the area. I actually grew up right behind Bobby Maduro Stadium when I was a kid. If any of you guys remember the stadium, beautiful, iconic, historical site, I thought, so they tore it down. But glad to see what you guys are doing with the neighborhood. So as far as crime is concerned, we've seen a dramatic reduction in crime since they've added the off-duty officer compared to the rest of the city and Wynwood. If any of you guys have any questions for me, any concerns?
Is an off-duty officer like a undercover or?
No. It's exactly how I am. It's just on his off time. We work 4 days off, 3 days off. So on his off day or after work, whatever, he can come to work a certain amount of hours to cover the schedule. We have board from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. on the weekends. Sunday right now is like 10 to 12 or something like that. So they're adjusting the hours depending on whatever events we have. Obviously for our block, we have more police officers and longer hours. Does anyone have any questions about anything? No?
We only work inside the bid.
I'm sorry?
We only work inside the bid.
What, the off-duty officer, yes, works within the parameters of the bid. But if Tom gave out the phone number. If you do need anything, he's there to help out. We won't deny you.
Any given day, how many on-duty officers do we have working in this area, and how many off-duty officers at the same time?
That's actually a good question, and as stakeholders in the community that's rapidly growing, we're still functioning with the same amount of officers that are slowly creeping up, but the demand is there. So reach out to your local commissioners and all that, and let them know that we need the extra officers. They're trying to work on that, but we're still not catching up. But to answer your question, we have 3 shifts throughout the day for every net area. This is Wynwood net. Depending on the day and time, there's 5 officers, a sergeant, lieutenant throughout the day that handles all of Wynwood. So what's great about the bid is that you have one specific officer assigned for just that little area, has a cell phone, they can reach him right away. You don't have to go through 911, dispatch, and that whole time delays. You can just call them through the phone. One of the biggest problems that we're still kind of having is the permit motor vehicles. There's a lot less here than it is in other places. There's pamphlets that we try to pass out. Just be mindful, don't leave, computers, a lot of people leave laptops inside their car visible. We still have a lot of kinds of opportunity that occur. The area is still changing, crime is going down, but you still have to be mindful of the surrounding areas.
Just another thing too on the policing note, on the security note. One, it's been mentioned by a few people. Please report the lights that are out on your street, okay? Because for some reason, with all the city and county vehicles that pass through, no one knows, and it's FPL also. So, but we are keeping track. The bid is keeping track. I know Tom is on it. I mean, as soon as you tell him, he's making a phone call. And that's not really us, but we'll get that to them. So that's really important. 1, and 2, within your, let's say disciplines, but let's say, if a bunch of galleries in a certain area want to, or whatever it is that your businesses are, you can always contact Tom, and I think that there's a way that the city allows for Tom to facilitate some way where a group of businesses can get together and hire additional but I'm not exactly sure the mechanics of it, but I know that it's possible. And obviously, some people have the point of view that the high traffic times, you don't really want it because there's so many people moving around, and you're more concerned about your Mondays, your Tuesdays, your Wednesdays. Other people have a different point of view. Whatever it is, Tom, if you want to talk about that.
Just so you know, if you have any events, any restaurants, tavern, bars, galleries have special events, let Patrick and myself know, because then we could redirect the Wynwood bid office to your event also for that night, keep special attention. We find that a lot of places have stuff that, I'm walking around and I see stuff happening, we don't know about it. The best thing is we have to have a coordinated effort between us, Wada, and the neighborhood. And you tell us what's going on. You have a training session, say, until 11 o'clock at night. Let us know, and we can have the officer redirect it to your location. So it's all about the communication here. We just have to make sure the communication is like where it should be.
What's happening with Kent security?
Right now, Penn Security, we have them right now from 9 p.m. At night to 4 a.m. in the morning. We're looking as we move forward to increase the Miami PD in the neighborhood. So we still have Kent now from 9 p.m. to 4, driving around and stuff. But we're looking to increase, I said, increase the Miami PD to be 24 hours a day as we move forward. Because I feel there's more teeth having, police in the area. And private security is great for a private location, but I feel in an area like this, we actually need a Miami Police Department. And that's my, speaking to other people in the neighborhood, business owners, property owners, they feel the same way. So they gave their, voices to us, and we decided to move forward.
I just didn't know when the time.
No, they're still here from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. They're still here. They're driving around still. And if you need anything, just have my number. Please reach out to me. I'm available. You can text me. You can email me. You can call me on the phone. I'm available. I'm available really 24 hours a day, as I said before. I know Miami don't start till 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm pretty good. So New York used to call me in the middle of the night and early in the morning. So, but I'm available to everyone. Please reach out to Patrick and myself. We're here working for. I'm here working for everybody. I'm here working for the property owner, the business owner, the whole neighborhood, and show us Patrick. So we're here for you. And when you tell us information, we can only react to the information you tell us. But if you don't tell us anything, it's hard for us to react. So please, keep in touch. Let's be proactive as we move forward. I think in the last couple of months, we've been more proactive than we've been in the past. As we move forward, we want to get more proactive. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there's any questions.
I'm going to be hanging out, so.
What's the sign-in sheet?